Hi everyone, I'm Patrick. Though my wife insists on calling me Pat, as though I were a woman in her late 60s. She thinks she's so funny. She actually is quite funny most of the time. She's been my wife for a few years now, and she's not changed one, but our lives have in a way that neither of us predicted. Let me start this story with a little history. I'm 35 years old, and when I was 15, my parents left me in a house on my own. At first, I thought they'd just gone on holiday without remembering to tell me. They were not in their right mind because of their substance abuse problems. I didn't think anything of it. I still went to school, and I still hung out with my friends at the skate park. The only thing that changed is that I was free to eat when and what I wanted, and I was allowed to stay out as late as I felt. No one was there to stop me. Then, after a whole month passed, and I couldn't live off of the food they'd left in the house for much longer, I realized something. They weren't coming back. I was 15, and suddenly, all on my own. At first, I thought about calling the police, but then, just as I was going to do exactly that, I noticed a letter in the post box with my mother's handwriting. Dear Patrick, we can't raise you anymore. I'm so sorry. Don't look for us. We don't want you. I was so sad that my own parents would just abandon me like that and disappear, but I had to move on. I had to protect myself. Few months later, I had to start stealing in order to eat. I didn't want to go into foster care. I've seen enough movies and read the news, so I know what happens to kids in the system. I wouldn't let myself be subjected to that. Well, one night, while I was prowling around the backs of stores near my house for food they'd thrown out, Kayla appears in the doorway, looking at me strangely. She'd asked me what I was doing, and I told her I was just hanging around.
I've got food if you need it.
I don't need food.
Then I guess I'll have to throw it all away.
Wait, don't do that. It started out slow. I was embarrassed about needing help from Kayla. She was my crush, and I had seen her around school afterwards. She never called me out, or even outwardly acknowledged me. But sometimes, she'd nod in my direction. It got better over time, and I started to go around every other day. Then, one day, she invited me inside, and things just got better from there. Her parents became my surrogate parents, and eventually, I and Kayla got married, and I moved out of the house my parents abandoned me in, and the rest is history, which brings me to the present. One day I was watching TV with Kayla, my wife, and suddenly the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, I was shocked to see my mom and dad. I stared wordlessly until my dad said, "Son, we're back."
We're so happy to see you again.
Mom? Dad? It's been 20 years. What are you doing back? I thought I'd never see you again. You said that you didn't want to see me again.
We didn't have anything to offer you, son. We had no money. We knew you'd be better on your own than with us.
They weren't wrong, but you didn't, did you? You always were smart. Are you just going to make us stand out here in the cold? Come on, invite us in. Listen, son, I did find a way, but can I still resent them for what they did? Am I not entitled to be angry after how they abandoned me? So, I let them inside, and they sat down opposite Kayla and myself, looking so sad and pitiful that I found myself feeling bad for them. We're sorry. We never should have left. We wanted to give you a better shot at life, and we thought the way to do that was to leave you alone. We're so sorry.
And we're so proud of you, too. You've come such a long way. CEO of a big food company, entrepreneur, and the head of the biggest homelessness charity in the world. Let's celebrate to our son.
Kayla hadn't made anything to eat yet, so we ended up ordering in food, and by the time we'd finished eating, it was too late. I don't know how it happened, but that one meal led to them moving in. They took the guest room above the garage and then made breakfast the next morning. Kayla wanted to kick them out, but I reminded her that I was a man who believed in second chances. I let them move in, and I let them take an interest in my life. Slowly, over a few months, I started to trust them again, and we got to know each other once more. I was so happy to have my parents back that I was willing to overlook the strange things. The missing notes from my wallet, the strange obsession they had with my signature, and the whispered conversations they had when they thought I wasn't watching. They did parent things. They made me pancakes and drove me to work whenever Kayla needed the car. They took me to the movies and joked over burgers. Then, few months later of my parents moving in, I returned home to find Kayla on the front porch with 3 suitcases and tears pouring down her face. Kayla, what's wrong?
We've been kicked out of the house.
What? Why?
They say the house was sold. The papers were all submitted. Legally, this isn't our house anymore. What are we supposed to do?
Kayla was beside herself, but I quickly made some phone calls and got us set up in a temporary house. We moved all of our things over and let the house be taken away. Kayla was right. It was all legal. Someone had copied my signature and sold the house from under us. I knew it was my parents. Not just because they didn't appear for the next week, but because by the end of the week, I received a letter. Patrick, it read. Sorry, we needed the money. You can buy another house. It's best if you don't contact us. We're not worth your time. Kayla and I were furious, but we kept our heads on. I called a lawyer, the police, and a private investigator. I filed a report with the police, had a lawyer draw up the paperwork to get Kayla involved in all of my assets, and to make sure my parents are never put into my will. Any changes to any of the assets would require both of them to be there in person in the future. I could never be hurt like that again. The private investigator found my parents in the state over when they were trying to gamble some of the money from the house. Before the police were notified, I drove over. We found them in a hotel. You let me trust you again. You spent months being my parents, and then you did this to me. Why?
I don't know what you thought was going to happen. We never wanted a son, but we got a parental check for you. When you turned 15, we figured you were old enough not to rat us out to the state.
I ate out of trash cans because of you. Which was great for us because we kept getting checks for you, and we didn't have to spend any of it on you.
You were always so needy. It really annoyed us. We were free when we finally left you.
Why did you come back at all?
Ha ha ha. Are you stupid, Patrick? I thought you were supposed to be the smart one. We came back because you made money. Money we needed.
Yeah, it was okay for a while. We took cash from your wallet to pay for your trips to the cinema and whatever meals we paid for. You kept a roof over our head while we planned, and we made our move. I thought you would at least be remorseful, but you're almost bragging.
We came back after 20 years, and your first instinct was to trust us. I'm actually disappointed in you.
My work requires me to hold an everyone gets a second chance policy. I work with people who made a mistake and are left to suffer the consequences. I want to be able to give people better chances, but you didn't deserve your first chance, let alone your last. We don't even care what you think. We've got the money, and we're going to live out our dreams like we always wanted. And if anything, we've done you a favor. Are you serious? Sure, we taught you that trusting someone, even if just to give them a second chance, is wrong. You should only look out for yourself, so you're welcome. They said it so seriously that I didn't feel an ounce of guilt when the police stormed the hotel room and arrested them both.
No, please, son. Please don't press charges. Don't you owe us? Don't you think we deserve some kind of compensation?
We gave up 15 years of our lives. You're not supposed to view it as being made to give up your life. You're supposed to want children and be invested in them, not hateful. My parents were forced to give us the money that they had left over, leaving them bankrupt. They couldn't afford to pay the rest, so they went to prison. The court ordered them to work regularly in order to earn money to pay us back. Kayla and I bought a new house, and we settled back into regular life, putting that episode behind us, just like I had to the first time they abandoned me. We found out less than 6 months later that we were going to be parents, and we were so excited. But I was sad that my child wouldn't get to meet my parents proper. When she was born, I took her to the prison to visit my parents, but the security guard told me that they were worse in prison, and their jail time was going to be increased as a result of their crimes. I wish my parents had the capacity to improve, but I feared that wasn't in their nature. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.